See, when I was in school, I stayed back in 3rd grade. I was different. Somebody looking at me like, dude, you're different now. I know, and it's fun, you know? But when I was in school, I stayed back because I could not read. I knew like 5 words, and, the, go. And the way I got to 3rd grade was, I looked at the pictures, and I knew a couple words. And I knew like the dog's name was Spot, which will tell you how old I am, right? And it got to my reading group. It got to my turn, and they said, go ahead, Keith. And I'd see Spot jumping over the TV, so I'd be like, Spot jumped over the TV. Very good, Keith. Okay, and I got to 3rd grade. First day of school, I had me a little panic attack. I got in, I opened the book, I'm like, where are the pictures? There's no pictures, I'm doomed. And they caught me, and they gave me all these tests, and they found out I was dyslexic, which the D's look like B's and D's. I hate those 2 letters. Because they're like, ha-na-na-na, boo-boo. And, you know, I'd get to baby and I'd say baby. And I'm like, and you know, who made up the print anyway? Why make a P look so much like a Q? That's just not fair, you know? And so I have dyslexia. I still have dyslexia, but I've learned, you know, all these coping skills. And I have something called dysgraphia. And then I have, what's the next one? Oh, ADHD. The H stands for hyper. Can you tell? Can you tell? And this morning I had my medication and I had a large coffee from Dunkin' Donuts. Wow! I'm high as a kite. And then the final one I got, back when I got it, they called it APD, but now they call it CAPD, and it stands for Central Audio Processing Disorder. And that was, out of all of them, that's the one that's kind of the hardest for me to deal with. When I was in school, did this happen to any of you? When I was in school, they were always checking my hearing, like twice a year. Okay, because I couldn't seem to hear instructions. And you know, and they put the headphones on, and they still have the headphones, and they play that little boop, and you raise your hand, boop, I heard a boop, boop, I heard a boop, and the boops again something quieter, boop, and I hear all the boops. So my hearing worked, but then they found out the part of my brain that processes sound does not work properly. So I hear the sounds I'm not supposed to have. If any of you have this, you know what I'm talking about. Like the HVAC system, that blower thing came on when I first walked in here. It scared me half to death. Clicking pens, you just moved on your seat and I heard the squeak. I hear all the wrong sounds. So I have to look right at people while I'm talking to them. Right? And then my wife, when I first got married, my wife figured out I'm a little different because like she would tell me stuff. Hey, have you ever done this? Like someone tells you stuff and you go 10 steps, you're like, what was that all about? Raise your hand if you ever had that happen, right? And like, so my wife learned, we write everything down. Everything's down. I got calendars on everything. We got color-coded calendars and stuff. And like my wife learned, like if I go out for errands in the minivan, you know, and I'll be cranking Leonard Skinner, bum bum, da 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 bum bum, da 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 bum bum, and this is my favorite part, da 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 da, and I'm out there, and all of a sudden I'm like, what am I doing out here? Where am I supposed to be going? I have no idea. I literally have no idea. So my wife is, I'm not making this up, and it's so much fun to be in front of you guys because you guys understand. My wife has learned everything. We have index cards under our phone, and every time I go out, she writes down exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. So I'll be cruising down the road and I'll forget what I'm doing. I pull out the index card, back right pocket, and I pull it out and I'll say, pick up Maeve at ballet at 4:30. Maeve's been getting out at 4:30 for about a year. I can't retain that for some reason. You know, I'll go at 5:30 and wonder why she's mad. You know, and then it says drop off Joan at after school care at 5:30. I'm like, oh, that's why he's back there. You know, and then you know, go to Walmart. I do whatever is on the card. Like a couple weeks ago, I found that, you know, I picked up the card. Usually I have to destroy them because like I pick up the card from a few days before and I did what's on the card. I did the wrong card. And then like she could hit the tree on Elm Street and I go, you know. But so I learned all these coping skills. Like you see over here, that's my backpack. And I cannot be out of visual distance with my backpack because it has everything I'm supposed to do. And you see in front of the backpack, it has this silver folder. Okay, you cannot separate me from the silver folder because it's got a little tab. It tells me what to do. Like I got pulled over by a cop on I-95, 2 in the morning. I was going from a show in New Jersey to a show in South Carolina. And there was that big snow in Jersey, and it was late, and the cop pulls me over, state trooper. I pull over, and he goes, where are you going? And I say, I don't know. Because I put it in the GPS. My GPS's name is Rachel. And because I get lonely on the road and we have conversations. And you know, she said, you has missed your turn. And I'm like, I know. And so I said, officer, I don't know. So he looks at me because that's not good, right, to not know. I say, officer, I've been following this purple line for about 5 hours on the GPS. I said, officer, if you will let me reach in the bag, because, you know, at 2 in the morning, cops can be a little jumpy. I said, officer, if you let me reach in the bag, there's a silver folder. And I took it out. I'm like, oh, you know, I'm going to Spartanburg, South Carolina. See, you know. But the thing is, so these are all coping skills that you guys learn here at this school. Have you heard the phrase coping skills? Have you guys heard the phrase? So but when I was your age, I didn't go to a school like this. And I really felt bad about myself. And I know some of you do. Because I don't know, I remember sitting in school and looking around and they're teaching stuff. And I'm like, all these people get this. I don't have a clue what this teacher's talking about. Not a clue. Y'all ever have that feeling? And so I was like, what do I do? And how do I deal with this? And people made fun of me. Because I was so different. Even when I got to high school, you know, nobody touched me physically. I was good at 2 things, fighting and football. Football, okay, fighting, I don't recommend it. But even football's kind of weird when you think about it. You know, oh, I hit you, you fall down. You know? And so it got in my head. And even some of the adults didn't think that much of me. Have you ever had that experience? You know, where they didn't. I remember in 8th grade, I had this cool teacher, I'll call him Mr. Jones. And everybody wanted this teacher. He taught science. And he was a cool teacher because, like, he put you on a skateboard and you do the fire extinguisher and you go flying across the room. He blew stuff up. Everybody wanted this guy. And I walked in his class and he looked up at me and I could see in his eyes he was not happy because my reputation preceded me. Have you ever seen that in someone's eyes? And you know, even adults, like I kept flunking math. How weird is math? You know, and like, you know, pre-algebra, I kept flunking it. You're supposed to finish it in 8th grade in Connecticut, but I kept flunking it, so I was in a special grade in 9th grade. Algebra. I still don't understand why you got to put letters with numbers. Keep them separate. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. I've got an aneurysm. You know? And so I got down through pre-algebra, and I got there, and I actually passed it. So I want to take algebra. Because if I can take algebra in summer school, and I can catch the smart kids. You know, the smart kids. And there was a table in my cafeteria, and it was like the smart athlete table. And I wanted to sit at that table. That was like the coolest table. I'm like, maybe I can earn my way into that table. So I go down to see my guidance counselor. Because I was a special kid, I could not pick my own classes. I had to get the guidance office to approve it. So I go down to see the guidance office and I say, I want to take algebra next. You see, because I wanted to be normal. I wanted to fit in. Let me give you a little tip, young people. Normalcy and fitting in are overrated. They're overrated. I want to fit in, so I look at my guidance counselor. I'll never forget this day. I say, I want to take algebra. And she said, Keith, you need algebra to get into college. By the way, despite my little joke, math is very important. She said, Keith, you need algebra to get into college. But then she looked at me, she said, but you're not going to college. You've already stayed back once, and we can't risk it again. And here's the deal. I believed her. And some of you sitting in this room have internalized a lie about yourself. You're not smart. People have spoken a lie into you. Society has spoken a lie into some of you. And I don't want you to go through what I believed the lie. I bought it. I'll never go to college. And then I joined the Army, and I found out in the Army I could learn stuff. Because the Army doesn't make you sit for a long time. Like compass reading, I'm like, oh, they're explaining all this stuff. I'm like, I don't get it. Well, then they gave me a compass, and they stuck me in a swamp. I figured it out. You know, and they you know, and all of a sudden I figured out I'm what's called a kinesthetic learner. I don't know if you've ever heard that. I have to move around a lot. And I said, I'm smart. I'm really smart. I'm just different. And so then I said, well, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go to college. And I'm going to graduate from college. I'm going to help kids like me. I'm going to be a teacher. And you know, when I went to college and I graduated with honors, I clipped out that article and I mailed it to that guidance counselor, and it felt good. And I tell you, I was an award-winning math teacher. And like kids would would be crying like I'd have kids that were, had ADHD, and I'm like, I don't get it, and I tell them, I don't get it either. Like, why isn't negative times a negative a positive? That's weird. That's just, that originally, a negative times a negative is a positive. Well, it seems like if you're negative and you get more negatives, you'd be more negatives, right? But no. And then, okay, like signs, okay, then a positive times a positive is what? Why? And then a negative times a positive is a what? A negative, right? Why? I mean, and so, and I struggled. And I'm here to tell you, man, I studied this. My mom, I was so freaked out in high school. My mom started researching this stuff, and she found out about Einstein. Y'all know about Einstein? Einstein could not speak till he was 5 years old. Couldn't speak. Okay? Einstein could not memorize multiplication tables, 6 and 7s. And if you're like me, I hate the 6 and 7s. There's no patterns. 9s I like, because 9 always adds up to 9. Y'all know this, 3 times 9, 2 is 27, 2 plus 7 is 9. 9s are cool, 4s are cool, 5 is my favorite. 10, all you had to do was add a number. I love 10s. And then 7s and 8s, I'm like, what's up with these? Well, Einstein my mom gave me a picture, and had a picture of Einstein. And behind Einstein is the multiplication tables. Because he couldn't memorize it. The guy that gave us the theory of relativity, which is the coolest theory ever. And there's all kinds of cool stuff. Space and time bends. You can bend time. Weird. The guy was a genius. In Austria. In 5th grade, what we would call 5th grade, his teacher called him Der Deppy, which is German for the stupid one, Albert Einstein. Edison got sent home in 3rd grade. Thomas Edison, 3rd grade, sent home with a note from the school board pinned to his chest because he couldn't sit still. And the note said, "We do not believe Thomas would benefit from further schooling. He should pursue his trade. Please do not send him." Thomas Edison. Spielberg doesn't fit. Tom Cruise, dyslexia. Richard Branson. You probably don't know who Richard Branson is. I love Richard Branson. Richard Branson is a multimillionaire flunky. They never even finished college. Not that I recommend this. And Richard Branson doesn't know what a net profit is. Net profit. He don't know what that is. He doesn't know the basic of finances. Richard Branson has no desk. Because the boy can't sit still. He'll be sitting there and he'll tell his staff we're having a meeting at 10 o'clock. He'd be like, walk in and go, "Hey, let's go look at a jet." And he'll walk out, and his staff, they're all following around, taking notes, man. Richard Branson's never still. What am I telling you? Listen to me, young people. You have a gift and a talent and ability. And there's studies out there. There's links between ADD, ADHD, and genius. You go, "Oh, I'm a genius." You got to embrace your mind. What if the thing you don't like is the thing that will make you great? Have you ever thought about that? What if the thing you don't like about your mind is the thing? There's a new book coming out. I recommend you guys are old enough to read this. There's an author called Malcolm Gladwell. Sell that. Malcolm Gladwell. Say that. He wrote Tipping Point. Raise your hand if you heard of Tipping Point. Okay, he wrote Blink. He wrote a bunch of these books. Malcolm Gladwell is writing a new book. And the new book he's writing tracks people kind of like us. And his theory behind the book is maybe the thing that is your obstacle leads to your greatness. And one of the guys he's going to interview is the guy that founded Kinko's. The guy that founded Kinko's reads at a 3rd grade level. Multi-millionaire. The guy that founded Kinko's. But he envisioned this business. So look at all I'm telling you, young people, is it's going to be okay. Learn your coping skills, but please, 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 don't be embarrassed through your challenges. Embrace them. Embrace them. It's going to be okay. Say, it's going to be okay. And don't let people get in your head, because